going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video, a new year and a new tactic, and it is going to be the famous 94 Ajax. Now, I will say this tactic is designed for top teams, just to make that very, very clear. If you do enjoy the tactics, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and once again, you can hit the notification bell and never miss another upload. Let's get right into it, and hopefully you do enjoy today's video. We've got an exciting year worth of content coming up, so make sure you are locked in because we're going to have some great videos. Let's get into it. So then, first up, we are going to test with Manchester City. Now, a free back over in England is either hot or it's cold, and luckily for us, it was incredibly hot. Now, when you've got Erling Haaland scoring above 100 goals in a season, which is the norm for Erling Haaland, then you get quite used to quite a fair few goals going in. But I mean, in the Premier League alone, we were absolutely remarkable. 101 points compared to Arsenal in second place with 83. We also are going to win the Champions League 3-1 over RB Leipzig. The Carabao Cup, we also beat Aston Villa 5-2, and also the Community Shield we are going to lift in 4-1 fashion. Now, what have you noticed about all of those games? We do concede goals, and that is to be expected while playing this tactic. But don't panic, you're not going to keep loads and loads of clean sheets, but you are always going to look to outscore your opposition. Famous for obviously, being able to concede, but going to score 2-3 times more than what you do let in the back of your net. You've not really got to worry. Now, in terms of the team stats, it is going to be 150 goals in the league alone, which is absolutely incredible. The most shots are over 920. The fewer shots against, the most possession, which is very impressive, especially when you see the actual shape of this tactic. And also, when it comes to the defensive side, we were very, very good. Third place when it comes to the clean sheets, and second when it comes to the conceded. But just to sort of go over my point previously again, we conceded under a goal a game, but even if we conceded 1 goal a game, we scored 3.95, so it's never really going to be a worry. A great pass completion and a fantastic amount of shots per game. Do not be put off by the fact you might concede an odd goal here or there. It really doesn't matter. But when there is a Champions League final, it is rules to watch it on this channel, and Erling Haaland is going to get off to a great start inside of 7 minutes. We are then going to literally go, 8 minutes after that, 7.5 minutes after, with Bernardo Silva into Gundogan. Some of the things you are going to see in this tactic is how good the link-up play actually is, as the last goal is going to be from a little set piece. Bit more direct. When there is a Champions League final on this channel, the rules are to watch it, and I tell you what, we got off to a great start here, a bit more direct from Erling Haaland, a great first time finish. This is more of the elegant side of the tactic, the pass and play. Look at the runs being made there, endless runs into Silva, little cutback into Gundogan, and of course it wouldn't be a JoshDaly video without a set piece. How good they are, they've been incredible this year. Erling Haaland is going to make it 3-0 in 53 minutes. Now, RB Leipzig do grab a goal, a bit of a scrappy one it has to be said, but it literally meant nothing. Good finish, but pointless goal. You think of Ajax, obviously you think of having to use them in a video. Now, obviously, they are arguably, they're not a clear powerhouse anymore, I would say. They're one of the better teams, but not a dominant powerhouse over in the Dutch league. Some other teams have sort of strengthened around them. Now, I will say, you wouldn't think that in this video, because we dominate the league, only losing 1 game against RKC. Wow week? I don't know how to say that. I'm probably butchering it. Educate me in the comments, but I will say nearly a flawless season, where we also do lift the Dutch Cup over Feyenoord in 6-1 fashion, which is probably one of the biggest results in the entire season. Now, Wout Weghorst thrived in this system, which as a United fan I quite like to see, because I quite enjoyed Weghorst. He just loved being at the club, which can be said a lot more than half of the players there at the moment. Now, in terms of the team stats, again, goal scoring wise, incredible, and possession 72%. Now, we are in an easier league, I will say that, and we are one of the top 3 teams, but that is still incredible. The best pass completion, the most shots, and defensively, we are going to be very good. Now, I will say, this isn't because this tactic is a defensive masterclass. When you've got 72% of the ball, the other team literally can't score. And as you can see, we kept it under a goal conceded, above 3 goals a game, a great pass completion, and still, with 72% of the ball, we're having 21 shots a game. If that doesn't scream of dominance, I don't know what does. And we have to watch this Dutch Cup final because Feyenoord had a complete breakdown. Now, you can see some individual quality there from Berghuis cutting in from the left-hand side to make it 1-0. An injured Manswerk is going to find Jordan Henderson into Broby, through into Taylor. The runs are so good in this tactic. Of course, what the whole tactic is known for is how fluid it is. Now, I will say, in terms of the players, Henderson really did light up the league. I will be honest, he really did thrive in this system, which I was a little bit nervous about playing him in, but he done a great job. Taylor over to Sata. Gonzalo down the left-hand side, in the middle, a bit of luck there, but sometimes you create your own luck. And do you know what? At this point, we're about to go 5-0 up, so I think being lucky is way out of the picture. It's an utter dominant performance, a game where Feyenoord really could only go and score 1 goal, which, as you can see, was a little bit of an interesting one. A good finish, to be fair, but again, at that point, we still had a 4-goal advantage, and we don't slow down. We thought, do you know what? We'll go and get the 5-goal advantage again and end the game 6-1. When you think of fluid movement, pass and play, Barcelona has to come in as well. And do you know what? The only disappointment of this video is probably the UEFA competitions, the Europa League, the Champions League, probably the real big disappointments. But apart from that, I mean, the players have been so good. Only 2 losses, Rafinha thriving in the system, as does Lewandowski. A lot of the strikers will do very well because they very much fed the goals, so make sure you've got a good finisher up front. We also do win that Super Cup against Real Madrid, 4-2, a very, very good game. And stat-wise, I mean, again, incredible possession, pass completion, probably the worst we've had. In fact, it is the worst we've had, but still very good. A load of goals, a load of shots, and defensively, 3rd place and 2nd place. So very, very good there, with the data hub being our best. We did play the attacking version of this tactic, by the way, and we still conceded under a goal a game. 4.68 goals per game, over 26 shots, a great pass completion, all done while deploying the attacking version. We were able to beat some of the best teams in the world with this tactic, with this team. A game against FC Bayern where we are going to go through and go 1-0 up inside of 3 minutes. A bit more direct approach in that goal there, getting the ball into the box. And whatever Davies is doing there, no wonder why, you know, he's sometimes seen as a little bit overrated, because we're going to capitalise and Dani Olmo is going to make it 2-0. We're then going to go inside, and it's going to be Joshua Kimmich on fraud watch here with one of the worst throw-ins I've ever seen, into Rafinha, into Lewandowski. It's actually a really good goal, to be honest, winning it back very, very well, playing it directly into the middle, into the box, and to finish it off, you know who's going to be the creator. Yamal into Koundé, into Pedri. Nothing Neuer could do. Now, of course, over to your favourite part of the video. That is going to be the tactic breakdown. If you are enjoying, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I must say, if you enjoy rebuilds, you must come over to the second channel, Daily Josh. We published a sporting rebuild, which you can see, and it absolutely cooked. We use all of our tactics from here, so you can see how they perform over a 5-year period, sometimes 10-year period. So make sure you go over. The link is going to be in the description. But to make this tactic, it is going to be none of the preset tactical styles. We are simply going to create your own style, and let's just load in a 5-2-3 and we'll go from there. What you want to do is drag the players roughly into this position here. We are going to talk through the player roles because they're definitely not these player roles you see on the screen, and then you want to change from balanced all the way up to attacking. It is a very attacking concept of a tactic, and we are happy to concede a goal because we're going to go and outscore everybody. So make sure you have this exactly the same. Now, when it comes to the goalkeeper, we are going to optimize with a sweeper keeper who is simply going to be on support with one real key instruction, and that key instruction is going to be simply tackle harder. Again, it's a risk-taken tactic. I don't mind the goalkeeper coming out and putting a challenge in. We are quite limited at the back when it comes to defensive options, so sometimes he will need to sweep and pick up the balls. Now, when it comes to the back line, we are going to operate with 2 wide centre-backs and 1 libero, as you would imagine. Starting off, we are going to go with the wide centre-back on defend on the right, and he is going to have 1 instruction that is going to be consistent of tackle harder. The libero is going to come in on support. If you are playing as a smaller team, I'll probably drop it to defend. The libero is going to have 2 instructions, dribble more and also set to tackle harder. With partnering him on the left-hand side, another wide centre-back is going to come in on defend and, of course, also have that instruction as tackle harder. Now, you might be a little bit put off thinking, well, hang on, Josh, a libero is going to push up. He is, which is why we are also going to operate with a halfback, which is obviously going to drop deep and almost replace the libero that is going to push up. So you're always going to have a consistent back three. So don't worry, it's just about getting the team moving fluidly, lots of roaming about, and it works really, really well. But if you're going to use this libero, do not use any other role than a halfback in front of him. Never, ever, ever switch it, because trust me, the tactic will not cook in that regard. We're then going to go over and look at the rest of the midfield. Now, on the left, we are going to get a little bit interesting. We are going to look to deploy a Mazzala simply on attack. Now, he is going to be incredibly aggressive, getting into different pockets, as you can see, moving into channels, roaming, getting forwards, also providing a little bit of width, which is very, very crucial. And we are simply going to have him set to tackle harder. And to partner him, we are going to go with a central midfield player, but not an automatic. He is going to be set to support, and he is also going to be roaming, moving into the channels, and also tackling harder. The key thing about getting this tactic to work is the fact that they must be roaming about, replacing each other's positions. You just need to be fluid. It's the whole point of the tactic. They need to have these instructions on. I would like to also say at any point, if you fancy getting all 3 of these tactics and all of these wonderful perks and enter in this month's massive cash prize giveaway, you can come over and join the Patreon, where we are nearly up to 5,000 members. It is a massive community where we all talk tactics. I'll tweak your tactics and stuff like that. Loads of perks, as you can see. Make sure you come on over and get involved, because we've got tons of content for the rest of this game. But when FM25 drops, the content gets even more. So make sure you are locked in for the new game. But let's go over and look at this front sort of 4 combination. Now, in the midfield, we are going to go with the AM, and he is actually going to be set to attack as well, but he is going to have a few instructions. Those are going to consist of holding up the ball, roaming from the position, moving into channels, and also tackling harder. I like having this player with hold up the ball, because he doesn't sit deep, but when he gets it, he will hold it up, as it says, and it gives the other players a lot of opportunity to sort of make their runs, take up different positions, and just almost, if you want to word it like this, almost buy a little bit more time. So it's a very good way to sort of operate with an AM. We're then going to go with a complete forward, who is going to be set to support, and he is simply going to have one instruction. That instruction being set to tackle harder. We're then going to operate with 2 roles, which you probably were expecting. They are going to be both inverted wingers, and they both are also going to be set to attack. But they have got a couple of instructions, of course, very crucial instructions. Those consistent of staying wide. I want them to provide width in this very narrow system when the team has the ball. When the player has the ball, they can cut inside. So stay wide, tackle harder, and also roam from the position. And that's going to be exactly the same for the left-hand side. Stay wider. Then again, cut inside when they have the ball, roam, and also tackle harder. And that's going to give you, boys and girls, the actual sort of player roles and the player instructions. But a lot of how this tactic actually does well and performs comes down to the team instructions. So let's lock in. We are going to go down 2 fairly narrow. We're going to underlap left, underlap right, focus down the left and the right hand side while playing out from the back. The final third, I've personally gone with mixed crosses, and when it comes to the tempo, we're going to go to 1 up, 2 slightly higher, and the passing down to 1, 2 shorter. So that is going to be your in possession. In transition, we are going to look to counter press and counter while playing to the centre backs and simply rolling the ball out. Nice and simple. You've got 3 centre backs, you need to be using them. And lastly, out of possession, we are going to operate with the much higher defensive line, as you would expect. We're going to look to step up more, get stuck in, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and max out the trigger press to much more often. And that's going to give you the default version. The attacking version is going to change a little bit, so let's go through and run through this. Firstly, when should you use this? I used it with the entire season with Barcelona, but you could also argue this is to be used when you're a goal down, or maybe you simply want to outscore some more. So when you need more goals, basically, is the answer. Now, we are going to start from striker to goalkeeper, spice things up a little bit. The complete forward comes in on attack this time, on tackle harder. The inverted winger on the left and on the right remain the same, as does the AM. The midfield, the Mazzala the same, the halfback the same, the central midfield player now on attack, on roam, move into channels, and also tackle harder, with an unchanged back 3 and goalkeeper. So the big change here, the attacking midfielder, and also the attacking complete forward. In possession, there is going to be a bit of a change going on. This still remains the same, so this underlapping business while focusing down the left and the right, while playing out from the back, is going to be the same. But because we are trying to be a bit more aggressive and sort of raise the tempo, quite literally, we are going to raise the tempo to literally the maxed out, while also being more expressive. In transition, nice and simple, counter press, counter, distribute quickly to the centre backs again, because this by far the safest option, and although we are attacking, we're not trying to be idiots. We do want to maintain the ball, and playing to the centre backs is really the only safe option. And lastly, out of possession, it is going to remain exactly the same, so the much higher, the high press, step up more, get stuck in, prevent, and also max out that trigger press. Now, just because you've got an attacking tactic, it doesn't mean that you can't also play a much more calm, defensive, possession-based game. And this is going to be for people that are going to happily sacrifice a few goals but want more possession, or you're trying to seal out a game with. So things are going to change. What doesn't change is the goalkeepers and the entire back line. They do remain the same, alongside of the halfback also remaining the same. The Mazzala drops back to support on tackle harder. The central midfield player on support on roam, move into the channels, and also tackle harder. The inverted winger on the right and on the left are now simply on the same, both on support, on roam, stay wider, and tackle harder. So just instead of attacking, they're now on support. The AM also on support, hold up ball, roam, move into the channels, and also tackle harder. And the complete forward remains the same as the default version. Now, in terms of the mentality, we are going to drop down to balanced, so a big drop off there and a lot more possession orientated. The width has to be narrow as how we play football. All of this is going to remain the same because without this it really doesn't play like the tactic it can play like, so I would also always keep that the same. Final third we are going to keep bang on the same. But this time, the passing is going to go down to much shorter, which naturally lowers the tempo to slightly lower. In transition, we're going to counter press, play to the centre backs and roll the ball out. So again, the big change, no direct approach on the counter and no real urgency in distributing quickly. And lastly, out of possession, we are going to deploy the same in terms of the high press and the much higher line because it's how this tactic does really well. And that is going to be all she wrote. That is going to be 3 versions of LVG 94 Ajax. You've got the default version, a more attacking version and a defensive version. If you do want to save yourself a bunch of time instead of copying it, you can go over to the Patreon and download all of my tactics from this year, and you get all 3 variants from all the 200 plus tactics I've done. So you get like 600 tactics. There's tons of stuff over there, all of my rebuild files, all of everything I've made this year. So make sure you are going over and saying hello. I'm in the live chat all the time. I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully you have enjoyed. Have a great year, and I'll see you in the next one.